Right. Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the stream. This one is not going to be ladder. It is going to be what I'm calling the Lowbie League live cast, where I cast a couple replays and sort of talk about what people could do to improve their strategy, maybe where they went a little bit wrong. And this is going to be for like bronze through like platinum league players who just maybe like to watch streams and want to get a little bit better at the game. So we're gonna get right into it here. Put on some tunage first. Get into this first game. It is a TVZ on a scrap station. It looks like. We're gonna get into that. Go over to our full screen mode here. Cool. We got the good manner GLHF U2 coming out of these good mannered. I think these are silver players, if I'm not mistaken. And we see first SCV, or one of the first SCVs from blue, is going out to scout, and I'm imagining he's wanting to scout an early pool. That's the best thing I can think that he's doing. He's trying to scout a 6 pool or a 9 pool to see what he needs to do, because and that's not a bad move, because this ramp on this map is pretty large, so you kind of need to know a little bit in advance if you're gonna have to deal with that really early Zergling pressure. So not a terribly bad move, I guess, given the map choice, but it's not something I would recommend to do every time. A 6 pool really is not hard to hold off, especially if you just make sure you wall off. And once he did scout this, it's a pretty standard, it's a little bit of an early spawning pool, but I mean nothing really to worry about. And he's going with the barracks right here, a little bit late. He could have gotten that definitely earlier. The refinery here a little bit late as well. And this is about the time you want to get your orbital command right now. He doesn't have quite the money for it, so we're gonna see if he's gonna save up for that. He's gonna get his orbital. Yep. So that was good. Orbital build right there. Nothing too much really to comment. Zerg, he got that pull, and I mean the timings on these lower level leagues are always going to be a little off. He was like a 12 pull, 17 hatch. I think the normal build's like 14 pull, 15 hatch, or any kind of sort of variation on that. And he's not overbuilding any Zerglings right here. That's the big thing. Trying to force Zerg to build units they don't need. He just builds 2 or now 4 Zerglings. He got rid of that SCV, and now he's going to be doing a little scouting. He is going to lose this Overlord over here, though, unfortunately. Definitely don't want to let a Terran pick off those Overlords, because we will absolutely go for them. No problem. And let's see, did Blue scout this base over here? Yeah, he knows that Red took an expansion, and he saw the timing of that spawning pool. And so there should really be nothing stopping him from expanding right now. If you see that, then you know you're pretty safe, and this is a decently safe map now that they've added these rocks over here. And I don't even know if this map's in the ladder pool anymore. I don't think that it is, but just in general, if you think you're safe, and you really should be, because you can block this area off right here. I mean, you get a bunker and 2 bunkers right here should be no problem. You've already got your main walled off, and he does have some Zerglings, but I mean nothing that's gonna be able to stop you with 4 or 5 Marines, especially if they're in a bunker. He would not be able to do anything. So you would want to expand or push. You want to either put on pressure, if that's the playstyle you want to go for, or definitely expand. Fast expanding against the Zerg is not a bad idea if you scout that they're not going to give you any kind of early pressure. If a Zerg is expanding, typically you're safe to expand as well as Terran. And with the Zerg, just little Zergling pushes like that, not really going to do anything against the Terran, especially because I'm pretty sure that he scouted that bunker before. He knew there was 2 barracks here, so I mean, if you want to do any kind of push like that at that time, you would need Banelings. You could bust down that supply depot here with banelings, and then run your zerglings in, circumvent that bunker altogether, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it. But doing the smart thing, he did lose a couple of zerglings, so he's just running back, keeping that watchtower. He's got a zergling right here to make sure he knows exactly what blue is doing. Now, blue, the biggest thing I can really fault blue for is not expanding. It's super important. He does have the proper number of production facilities on one base. A Terran can support 3 barracks and 1 factory or a starport. Realistically, he's not going to be able to produce out of both of these advanced buildings at the same time. Not on one base. He does have yeah, it's about full saturation. Yeah, he's a little bit short, but he should be able to produce pretty much off of all of these, and then one or the other of these until he gets that second base. And as a general rule of thumb for Terran, when you're expanding, for every base you have, you can pretty much figure 3 barracks and 1 factory and or starport per base that you are saturated on. So that's a good rule of thumb of constantly building those production facilities. Now, red over here, and there's no gas down here. He's got decent saturation for this point on that natural expansion. He could have definitely more workers for sure. 30 to 26. I think he could get more workers out of that. He didn't really. I mean, he has full map control and full vision. He knows what's going on, and he didn't really have too much of a need to build these zerglings. He could have absolutely built more workers in their place and just react, like build units in reaction sort of to what's going on. As soon as he saw that this zergling was being killed or whatever, and he saw that the blue was moving out, and he could have built more units sort of in reaction to what he was doing. And I can see he is throwing up some spine crawlers because there was the overlord over here that spotted. Where did it go? There's a medevac that has. There it is. He was trying to hide from that overlord. This medevac has 4 Hellions in it, and it looks like he did scout it, and he did see it. He ran those zerglings back up, and then he took them away. But he is throwing up a spine crawler in the middle line over there, and a spine crawler over here. But he's not reacting too much for his main base, so he's going to lose some workers. Lost 3 workers right there. Going to lose more? Yeah, well, maybe not. That was a good load up right there. And at this point, you see this many queens, you probably wanted to just go home at that point. I mean, it's good to scout the natural, but you do not want to lose this dropship. And it's like, if you know you're going to lose the ship, or you feel like you might, it's always a good idea just to drop the units before the mothership, or excuse me, it's not even a dropship, it's medevac. Before the medevac dies, drop your units off, and in this case he didn't. It's only got 6 HP, so that's pretty close. Oh, and then the Mutalisk gets them anyway, so it's a good idea just to drop whatever units you've got off, and try and get them to do as much damage as they can before they die. And we go back to blue, and his unit composition is really, really poor, given what he's seen and scouted. He knows there's Mutalisks, he saw the Spire, and now he's just building Vikings. Now Vikings, you don't want to build Vikings against Zerg. Maybe 1 or 2 to go off and pick off the Overlords. Like there's an Overlord here you could get for free. And just flying around Zerg's base even sometimes. Like he could go over here with some Vikings, yeah, assuming there wasn't any Mutalisks, and he could pick off all these Overlords for free. But the only other time you would build Vikings is against Broodlords. And Marauders are, unless you see Roaches or Ultralisks, Marauders are fairly useless. The main things you want to focus on against the Zerg in the early game and the mid game is just Marines, tanks, and medevacs. For the most part, you can hold off damn near any build they want to throw at you. And until you get to the late game, the general rules of thumb for scouting a Zerg base is you want to scout them at like 7 minutes, and then scan them around 12 minutes to see what their layer tech is going to be, and then 16 minutes is as fast as they can get their hive tech. And in these lower level matches, you might want to increase the times that you scan by a little bit. 7, 12, and 16, but realistically, it might be more like 8, 13, and 20, depending upon how many bases they take or whatever. But you do want to sort of have good scouting information, because what's going on over here? Mutila's just poking around, and missile turrets. You see, he didn't need those Vikings at all. The missile turrets drove the Mutilisks away all by themselves. And Marines are incredibly powerful and very cost effective against Mutilisks. They do a lot of damage, especially if you get that +1, and you can pretty much drive Mutilisks away as much as you want. And you never really want to stop producing Marines. Looks like he's got some queued up here, but he is supply blocked. And these Vikings are really just a waste of them. They're not going to be able to do anything against the Mutilisks. The Mutilisks are very good against Vikings, especially since players tend to keep them very clumped up, so the Mutilisks are just going to obliterate these Vikings. And he's got a pretty high Marauder count, and the Marauders, I mean, obviously they're not useless. They can attack the Zerglings, but they're not particularly good against Zerglings. He does have some Hellions and a decent number of Marines here, and only 2 tanks. So I really don't foresee him winning this at all. We'll go ahead and take a look. He doesn't really necessarily know what's going on over there. He didn't really scan over there to see what's going on. And he is throwing up this command center, and expanding behind pushes is definitely smart, but this push isn't going to do anything, I can pretty much guarantee. With no medevacs, you're going to stim these infantry units, and they're going to lose a lot of life. They're not going to be able to get healed. These tanks, not going to be able to do anything. And here's the big thing. I'm going to pause it right now. You see what this Zerg did here? He burrowed all his Zerglings. And this could be any kind of unit that has burrow. And the main unit that's a problem is Banelings. Now, as a Terran, when you're playing against Zerg and you're pushing like this, you scan and then move there. And then you get to here and you scan here and then you move there, because burrowed Banelings, or in this case burrowed Zerglings, can be a real big problem, and that's gonna lose you plenty of games just because a Zerg went, hey, let me put 5 Banelings here, and once he walks his bio units over him, I'm gonna detonate it, and all of your bio units are going to die. Now let's just kind of look at what's on the map right now. We'll start with the Terran. He's got more units over here, which is a good idea to leave some units behind, especially against the Zerg, because let's say you missed some Zerglings. He was just kind of hanging out over here by your third. That he wanted to make sure you didn't take it. Let's assume he didn't know you didn't have this already, but it's hypothetical. This is to prevent counterattacks. So you got a decent little force here that can stim up and help the base in the event of a counterattack, and you can pull these workers. And so that's good. That was good that he left those there. I don't know if he did that premeditatedly or what, but he's got, like I said, the right number of production facilities. He didn't overbuild those. He did have, I mean, building a starport and a factory while you're all on base is not a bad idea by any means. You just can't continue to produce out of both of those while continuing to produce out of the barracks. Now you can do a little more if you opt not to build these Marauders, because Marauders in TVZ are really not important at all unless they have roaches or Ultralisks, obviously. Now the Zerg, he's been in a pretty good position the entire time. Never at any point was he really threatened at all, and he's got a lot of things. He's got this Nidus network, and all that's going to take is an Overlord over here, and he can put the Nidus network there. Putting your missile turrets back here like this is not necessarily the smartest thing to do. You want to put them as close to the edge as possible, and putting a missile turret right here as close to the edge as possible is the right thing to do, because it will prevent things like getting a Nidus worm in your base. And you might think, oh, what if I put the missile turret way over here? The Mutilisks can just pick it off. I mean, yes and no. You want to put them as far out as you can so they have the most amount of time to shoot at their targets. You put them over here. This is all this area right here. Flying units can just hang out, and most importantly, drops can happen and Nidus worms can happen. And a drop will get shot at if they try and drop here, but only a couple of times. If they wanted to drop on your mineral line and you had a missile turret right here, they would be shot, 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 shot. By the time they go to drop, they're dead. So I mean, you want to put those missile turrets out as far as you can. And Red, he really did a good job of, not overbuilding too much. He did a little bit with the Zerglings in the beginning, but I think he was just trying to be safe. Given that he's in Silver League, that's not a bad idea. And Zergling, Mutalisks, and maybe Little Infestor would have been the perfect sort of combination for fighting Terran. But he built the Mutalisks, and he did know that Blue was getting a lot of Marauders, and he's getting siege tanks and stuff. He only had a little bit of Marines relative. And Vikings, you might think they're a lot scarier against Mutalisks than they actually are, but they're really not that good. And here we see Red, he's got his third base in production already, and he's ahead, and he's going to get farther ahead. And that's a smart thing to do. He knows that this base is here. He has to. And he's been making sure that he pokes overlords in every once in a while, so I mean that's really good. He saw this attack coming with that overlord here, and he burrowed all of these Zerglings. That was a really, really smart thing to do, because there's a good chance that Blue is not going to scan this. We're going to have to see how this plays out, but I have a feeling Blue's about to lose this game, and not too many things I can say for Red to do better, because he honestly is doing particularly well, I think. So we're just going to unpause it and see how this battle here plays out. He's blocking. Is he going to land? Yep, he's walking right over those Zerglings. And the Mutalisks were going to attack, but now they're coming back, and all the Zerglings on Burrow, and they get a perfect surround on all of these units. The Mutalisks come in, and look how quickly they take out these Vikings. And he's really not losing any Mutalisks. He lost one. Maybe he's going to lose another one. Yeah, he lost 2 Mutalisks in that entire engagement. Blue says, nice. And here comes for the counterattack with the Zerglings and the Mutalisks. And he never expanded. I mean, he was, looks like morphing this into a planetary, which you don't want to have to make your natural planetary at any time. I mean, if you absolutely feel like you have to, then that's fine. Taking your third down here and making that a planetary is a really smart idea against Zerg, especially because, I mean, look at all this surface area, and they can get a really good surround and just attack you, and a planetary is going to keep you safe here. But you really want to be able to just make this an orbital, and absolutely taking bases much earlier against Zerg, and just instead of focusing on keeping this walled off, maybe even wall off down here once you've scouted that they're not doing an early pull, they're not doing any kind of one base, and that they were getting their expansion fairly early as well. So this game looks like, yeah, it's pretty much over. He's definitely going to lose this and definitely lose the game. So there's the GG from Mylon, and the red Zerg here was Namtlade or something. So pretty good job by the red Zerg here. He shows a lot of talent, I would say, for a silver player. He's got a pretty good grasp on Zerg strategy, at least against Terran, it seems. And, expanding, at a decent time, considering he is a silver player. He was so far ahead, and he was never in any danger, to be honest. He could have taken this much earlier. He could have gone and taken the 4th, or come down here and taken the gold, because Blue never scouted anything, really. He kind of knew what was going on at his natural a little bit. He had scouting around here, and that's about it. He scanned a couple times in the base, but he would have never found your natural, or excuse me, he would have never found your gold base down here if you had decided to take it. So Blue, maybe look up a good build on Fighting TVZ, and I guess that's all I can say about this game. I would be just repeating myself at this point. So we're gonna load up another replay. Let's go back to the big screen. And I have one more game that I'm going to do today. I'm not going to be doing this too much longer. The next game, being perfectly honest, is a really low level play. But I figured it was something worth showing at least a little bit. It's a Terran versus Protoss. And it's, like I said, very low. I can't remember. I think it was probably definitely bronze, to be honest with you. Okay, sign back in. Get back into This is a replay. It's Braveheart versus Loser Lord on Blistering Sands. I'm gonna load that up and see what we can talk about on this one. I think this one will probably be quick. There's not a whole lot of action in this one. I did watch this one ahead of time to make sure it was something that I would even want to talk about. And you know, this one is sort of just going to be more educational than sort of fun to watch. The other one had some action, and it had that good moment where the circling ambush happened, and that was pretty cool. So here's Loser Lord, the red Protoss, and Braveheart, the blue Terran. And TVP is kind of an interesting match. It's definitely my least favorite, and sort of, I guess I would say my least understood from the Terran perspective, just because Protoss really has a lot of options that they can do in TVP, I feel. And I mean, Terran, obviously, they've got a lot of options they can do too. But okay, let's look here. We see that he was, he got his first supply depot at 10, which is what you want to do, and then you absolutely want to make sure these rocks are being watched. And a supply depot there is, probably the easiest way to do it, and I don't disagree with that at all. However, getting another supply depot on 11 supply, really, really bad idea. I mean, this is just basic build order stuff, and like I said, it's either low silver or bronze. I don't remember if it was bronze or silver, but this is just basic build order stuff. You really want to get your barracks out sooner. I mean, we see Loser Lord already got his gateway up over here, and he's already going out and scouting very, very early, so it's likely he's going to want to do some kind of aggression. And here's another supply depot going up from Braveheart, and that's just, I don't really think he knows anything about build orders. And another supply depot, he really wants to wall off. Now I understand that, and I guess this really is just going out to those of you who are real low level players. And for the live stream and the VODs on Twitch, most of you are probably going to know all of this already if you're the kind of person who seeks out live streams for for StarCraft. You probably have a little bit more knowledge of builds and strategy than this. But for the people on YouTube where I'm going to upload this, maybe there's some bronzies and silveries out there who might think, against a Protoss, maybe you've been in a situation where they've zealot rushed you really fast and you've lost to it, and you think, well, let's get this wall out as soon as possible. Wall with your barracks. You can put the supply depot here and the barracks here, and then your add-on for your barracks should complete the wall. And if they attack you with zealots, you just bring some SCVs over and they will repair it. So we see Loser Lord in here. He's got his probe in here. He's got to be wondering, what is this? I see nothing but supply depots. So we're going to see how Loser Lord reacts to seeing just supply depots. And if you're gonna lose your worker, just try and set some rally points, hold shift, and just kind of make them go around and around and around, and try and keep them alive for as long as possible so you can see that tech, because it looks like he did lose that probe. Now we finally see 2 barracks at a time going up for Braveheart, and he's also throwing up double gas at the same time. And here he is at 18, going on 19 supply, and he hasn't gotten his orbital command yet. You definitely want to get that on 15. And we see Loser Lord here. He hasn't gotten any gas at all. And this is, I mean, in this game, I don't know, how much of a problem it's going to be because of these really late barracks, but he is now getting Marines out. Zealots are next to worthless against a Terran in the early game. They're potent, definitely, in the mid to late game, especially once you get the charge. And he's just streaming Zealots over there. And this is not necessarily a super fast Zealot push anyway. I mean, it's definitely coming really early, and this is like a reasonably short run distance, so yeah, you're going to be able to reinforce this quite a bit. But I mean, you saw this wall happening, and yes, it's just supply depots, but Zealots, the way this is here, you're only going to be able to get one, maybe two zealots attacking any of these supply depots at a time. And Braveheart surprisingly had the knowledge and thought to come over here and start repairing. And you're just really going to have a hard time breaking that down. You don't want to go gasless against a Terran. Even a Terran who makes 4 supply depots before his barracks, because Marines can effectively kite zealots for pretty much the whole day, especially if the player knows how to do even basic stop micro. Zealots is just not going to be the choice for you. So you definitely want to get an early gas first. And I mean, you might want to make a first zealot, just in case, maybe to deny scouting. But really, you can pretty much skip it altogether. You want to get a stalker out actually as fast as you can against a Terran, because in a lot of Terran builds against Protoss, maybe not even so much anymore, but there's always that off chance that a Terran is going to open with a Reaper or two in the beginning. And if a Terran gets into your base with a Reaper in the early game, and all you have is Zealots and Probes, then he's going to do very, very significant damage to you with that. At the very least, he's going to stop your mining for a while, and if the Terran has good micromanagement skills, or even just maybe he ignores his macro and just focuses on microing that Reaper, he's going to kill a couple of workers, and if you're not chasing him with pretty much everything you have, he's going to do a lot. So you just want to skip these Zealots, I would say, and get Stalkers out, because as we may or may not see here, I don't really know, these Marines that are coming out are pretty much going to be able to take care of it. And we see him throwing up these tech labs here. Now, Marauders are incredible against Zealots, especially once you get slow, which Marauder slow only costs 50 gas and 50 minerals, so it's very, very quick to get. And we see just repairing the supply depot. Now, he was smart getting us over here, and is he going to switch over here? He went 1 SCV, yes, 2 SCVs now. Is he going to go down? Maybe, but probably not. Doesn't look like it. There's just not enough DPS going to be able to get on it, and he can just like this bring another SCV over and repair it. And the one Marine here just taking all these Zealots for free. And don't overcommit. When you see that you're in this kind of situation where a Marine has 3 kills on you, and I understand pushing this depot because he did get it to catch on fire, but you want to pull back, and you might even make the argument, well, they was using it as a distraction to take down these rocks, and yeah, maybe, but you still don't want to give away all those zealots for free. And if you do want to do that, maybe just send 1 zealot up and keep the rest of them out here just to use that as a distraction, because that supply depot was there. He already knew because he had his probe up here, if we remember, and he was hanging out, so he knew that supply depot was there. And once this attack was pushed away, he's obviously going to notice this. I mean, even the worst player is going to notice that. And here he was going full Reapers, and like I was mentioning, there's always that off chance, especially in the low leagues where people don't necessarily metagame, they just kind of have fun, and a lot of low-level players who want to just have fun are going to make Reapers. So I just realized I was not in the full screen. I apologize for that, but hopefully it wasn't too small at the bottom there. So like I was saying, these Reapers are just going to absolutely decimate the Zealots, because the Zealots are, interestingly enough, they are light units, and let's see, they do, excuse me, here it is, 9 damage against light units, and they attack quite quickly. So these Zealots are going to all die very quickly. You see how quick they can take down Zealots, and they're fast. They can jump up, and they can really just do a whole crap ton of damage against Zealots. And if you had 1 Stalker, he probably would have been able to just deal with these, all of these Reapers. Maybe 2 Stalkers would have been able to deal with it. So, he very well might get these rocks. He's just streaming Zealots out, but there's more Reapers coming on the way. And if he had a little bit better micro, he could have done way more. And it's always a good idea to, when you're controlling, to target 1 Zealot at a time with all your units, because they're not necessarily always going to attack the same one, and it's much better to focus down 1 at a time so that you can get them killed much sooner. So he is kind of doing that now, and attacking with your workers like that, not necessary. I mean, running them away while you have all these Reapers here, not necessary either. You might lose one worker, maybe 2 workers, but that's absolutely better than all of these SUVs not mining. So he's not intaking any minerals right now. So he really wasn't under any kind of threat, so there was no need to do that. And just another thing, I mean, it's 25 supply, we're at 9 minutes into the game, and there's no orbital command from him at all. So, I mean, orbital command is the most important thing to get as a Terran. And we see only 1 worker on the assimilator that he finally got. Just now throwing up the cybernetics core. Against Terran, that is absolutely the first thing you want to do. Now, he's got 5 warp gates on, 1 base with no, I mean, he's close to saturation. He's probably more closer on saturation for minerals. But now that he's switching over here, he's switching, looks like too many. Yeah, he's got too many workers. You only have 3 workers per gas. And if he gets the second gas, he'll be a little undersaturated. And it's all on 1 base. There's no way you can produce out of all of these at the same time. So that's just too many. And he's continuing with these zealots even though he knows there's Reapers. And just continuing to pump nothing but Reapers. Because I mean, Red's really not giving him any reason to make Marauders instead of Reapers. If we started to see Stalkers, then one would assume he would start making Marauders instead of Reapers, but you never know. So you can see Braveheart rebuilding sort of a wall because he did lose those rocks, and he doesn't want the Zealots to come streaming into his base. Not that they're actually going to make it that far. Loser Lord just streaming Zealots into the fray, sacrificing them to the Reaper gods. And he's going to lose another one. And it's not the best Reaper control, but it just goes to show you, I mean, even somebody who really doesn't know what they're doing too much on in terms of micro can just decimate your entire army with Reapers. And, I mean, Reapers are cheap. They're 50 and 50. So he's got so much money in the bank, he could throw up, 5 barracks right now and just, pump Reapers for a little while because he's been saving up so much. And there goes the entire army for Loser Lord. And he's not floating money, he's spending it because he's got 5 gateways and he's throwing up a Twilight Council and a Forge, and he's spending money. He's continuing to make workers. He's actually got workers queued up. Looks like Braveheart hasn't quite made a worker in a while. He's only at 19 workers. And he's just continuing to produce these Reapers, and they do quite a good amount of damage against buildings. And he's smart enough to target these pylons down. So once these pylons go down, I mean, that's it. He can't produce anything. You're not gonna, he's got this forge. He's not going to be able to throw up cannons if there's no pylons. So this photon cannon is it's not going to be powered by anything once he finishes building. You can see he's one-shotting Zealots now. He's got so many Reapers, and all these pylons are going to go down. He's throwing up more pylons, but he's got the 1 cannon there. This cannon is very quickly going to be unpowered, or even just killed. Yeah, well, maybe not. Maybe he's not going to kill it. Here comes the first Stalker, and you can see all of these Reapers. It took them, all of these Reapers, it took them 3 shots, I think? 2 or 3 shots? All of these to kill 1 Stalker. So, they don't do much damage against things that are not light units. The Zealot, though, is going to get obliterated, yeah. So Stalkers are sort of your main priority to get against the Terran, because now all the pylons are dead, and at this point, Loser Lord doesn't have a single hope of winning. I mean, maybe if he had just chronoed Stalkers out of... He's got full chrono energy on his Nexus. If he just chrono boosted Stalkers out of all 5 of these gateways, it's likely he would have survived, is assuming he could have gotten them out before all the pylons died, and he probably could have just continued to make Stalkers, walked over here and killed them because he was making nothing but Reapers. But now at this point, he's so far gone, he's going to lose all these workers because they are light, and we see we have quite a good number of Reapers here, so it's absolutely the end of the game. Yeah, we're just going to pick off all the workers, and that's definitely GG. So, I guess the lesson of this game for Protoss players would be, if you do a build like this, you can lose against even the worst Terran player, because honestly, if you scout somebody going 4 supply depots before even 1 barracks, uh, that player just doesn't really know much about metagame, and clearly the Loser Lord doesn't know much about it either. But had he just gotten earlier Stalkers, we would have seen a completely different game, because just a handful of Stalkers can deal with a whole lot of Reapers. And these Reapers, I mean, they don't have any upgrades, they don't have speed upgrade. The Stalkers would have absolutely been able to defend the base. And, he got that early probe in here very, very early. So he knew that there was no barracks, so there was no chance of getting any pressure. So he could have teched, he could have expanded, which might have even been a smarter idea. Or he just could have gone for a 4-gate push with some Stalkers, and he absolutely would have won. And, I mean, Terran, there's a lot of things. I mean, I don't think talking strategy about this is even anything, because I think most people know way better than to play the way Braveheart played. Even though he won the game, it was just a build order win, because Loser Lord decided to make Zealots, and it's just, I guess, a lack of knowledge on Loser Lord's part, because I'd absolutely say he was a better player for sure. He had more of a strategy. Braveheart's strategy was quick wall off with supply depots, make mass Reaper, which kind of doesn't anything. And not to say that, mass Zealot stream into base is necessarily a great strategy, but he was attacking the front, and he was simultaneously attacking the rocks, which I thought was cool. He was actively scouting, whereas Braveheart never scouted anything. So, I would say Loser Lord probably could have had this game won had he just went a different build order. But that's it for me today with this. I only had 2 replays I wanted to show. So thank you very much if you're watching this on live stream. There's going to be, I'm going to leave the VOD up on Twitch, and then I am probably going to upload this to the VG Esports YouTube channel. So you may be watching that. You may be watching this on YouTube. If you are, thank you for watching that. Make sure to like it and subscribe if you want to see more. These 2 videos were a little bit mundane, I'll give you that. But I try to be as informational about it as I could. If you are a low league player, hopefully you found a couple of tips, maybe learning from these people's mistakes. And hey, if you want me to cast your replay and talk about how you could have done better in your game, you can go ahead and message me on YouTube, or you can message me on Twitch, or you can email me at vatoliciousgaming@gmail.com. Or you can even add me on Skype at Vatolicious, or you can add me in StarCraft at vatolicious.761. And this information is in the bio of Twitch. So anyway, that's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitch if you enjoyed this stream. If you're watching the VOD and you enjoy it, follow me. But anyway, I'm still talking and I shouldn't be. Thank you for watching.